唱国歌了你还动啊？全部给我站好啊！
The rest of the scene, which, Honey makes his dramatic entrance here, and you can see that this is now going to head towards some kind of showdown between him and the successor of the man he killed, Shandong. I think this plays out very intelligibly. I don't think it needs any commentary from me, really, to explain anything. By now you know who these characters are, and you can see why they're behaving this way towards each other. And I think that this is, clarity itself, really. So I have two choices. I could either shut up and just let the scene play out, which is obviously a strong temptation after talking for such a very long time, or I could use the time to say something about Edward Yang himself and how he came to the point of making this film. So let's try the latter and see how it goes. Edward had high schooling in Taipei, and then came under great pressure from his parents to qualify for one of the professions. And he, in particular, was pushed into science. And what he had an aptitude for was computer engineering. In them days, computers were very, very, very newfangled, and there were very few people studying computing or the nascent science of computer engineering. So Edward was actually one of the first generation to do so. And to do so, it entailed going to the States. So after his high schooling in Taiwan, he did go on to study electrical engineering at the University of Florida. However, already his personal interest was in film. He'd always been fascinated by film from childhood, rather like Xiao Se in this film. And he hankered after studying filmmaking. So, against the wishes of his parents, while in the States, he took advantage of the opportunity to go to USC to do a film course. When he got to USC, he was horrified by what he found there, horrified by his fellow students, encountered apparently some degree of racism as well. But he was much more horrified to find that pretty much everyone there aspired to careers in Hollywood, to making, anodyne commercial mainstream entertainments, which is not at all what he wanted to do. So he dropped out after one semester in the USC and went back into computer engineering. And he spent quite a long time, I think 7 years in total, in Seattle, working in computer design, part of, as I said, the first generation to do so. His chance to break away came at the end of those 7 years when a friend, Yu Wei-ching, whom I've already referred to as the younger brother of Yu Wei-yen, the main producer of this film, Yu Wei-ching was anxious to direct a film, asked Edward, an old classmate, if he would write it for him. It was a film about Chinese students in Japan in the early 20th century getting involved in theatre productions. Interestingly, the young Choi Hak, later a prominent Hong Kong director, was an actor in the film. Anyway, Edward wrote this. It's not, I think, his best script, it must be said, and he took the opportunity to go back to Taiwan to watch the filming, and to help, in fact, to some degree with the filming. The film is not a classic by any measure. It's not even one of the best Taiwan films of its period, which is a very fallow period in Taiwan cinema. But it did have the overriding merit that it got Edward Yang back to Taiwan and back into his old ambition to make films. Having worked on The Winter of 1905, he found himself invited to direct some stuff for television. TV was a rapidly growing medium in Taiwan at the time. This is the late 1970s. And not hard to get jobs making films for television. He made documentaries, entertainment programs, and then got a chance to direct a drama. And he formed a relationship with the actress Sylvia Chang. They were very close for quite a while. And she hired him to direct his first drama for television, a film called Floating Leaf. Not much seen, but absolutely worth a look. And then his first feature, a film called That Day on the Beach, in which Sylvia Chang herself starred. That's when I first met Edward. He came to London, which is where I met him, with a portmanteau film called In Our Time, which he'd been invited to make an episode for just before That Day on the Beach. and we became friends and remained friends until his death. But he found himself very rapidly fast-tracked onto a career as a filmmaker, and from the beginning made it a point of principle that he would hire untried talents. He would not rely on the grizzled old veterans of what there was of the Taiwan film industry. He would look to develop new talents very much more in sync with his own. One of the first he found was the cinematographer, an Australian called Christopher Doyle, who photographed That Day on the Beach, and it was his first experience as a cinematographer on a feature film as well.